The betrayal. In a small, isolated village, Sarah and Tom were deeply in love. Their relationship seemed perfect, filled with laughter and dreams of a future together. However, as time passed, Tom's jealousy began to consume him. He started to suspect Sarah of being unfaithful, even without any evidence to support his fears. One fateful night, after overhearing a conversation between Sarah and a friend that he misinterpreted, Tom's jealousy reached a boiling point. In a fit of rage and blinded by his emotions, he confronted Sarah. The argument escalated quickly, and in a moment of terrifying impulsiveness, he took her life, believing he was protecting their love. As he stood over her lifeless body, a wave of horror and regret washed over him. Tom realized he had destroyed the very thing he cherished most. Little did he know, this was only the beginning of a dark and haunting journey, one that would lead to his eventual reckoning with Sarah's spirit. Part 2. The Aftermath. After Sarah's tragic death, the village was engulfed in sorrow. News of her demise spread quickly, and the community gathered to mourn the loss of a young woman full of life and love. Tom, however, was consumed by guilt and despair. He pretended to grieve alongside the villagers, but inside, he was tormented by what he had done. As the days turned into weeks, Tom found it increasingly difficult to cope. He spent sleepless nights haunted by vivid nightmares of Sarah's face, twisted in pain and betrayal. Each dream left him more unsettled, as her expression seemed to scream for justice, echoing in his mind long after he awoke. The villagers began to notice Tom's erratic behavior. He would often stare into space, lost in thought, and flinch at the slightest sound. Whispers spread throughout the village, suggesting that Sarah's spirit might still linger, unable to find peace due to the violent betrayal she suffered. As Tom tried to distract himself with work, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching him. Every creak of the floorboards, every gust of wind felt like a reminder of his dark deed. Deep down, he knew that the consequences of his actions were far from over, and that Sarah's ghost was growing stronger. Little did he know, the village would soon face the wrath of a restless spirit seeking vengeance, and Tom would be at the center of the storm that was about to unfold. The first signs. As the weeks passed, strange occurrences began to plague the village. At first, they were minor, objects moved from their places, whispers carried on the wind, and the feeling of being watched. Villagers dismissed these incidents as mere coincidences, but the unease grew. One night, during a gathering at the local tavern, a chilling breeze swept through the room, extinguishing the candles. The villagers exchanged nervous glances, feeling an inexplicable presence. An elderly woman spoke up, recalling the tale of a young girl who had once lived in the village, a girl who had suffered a tragic fate. The name, Sarah, hung heavy in the air, and the mood shifted. Meanwhile, Tom was increasingly isolated, plagued by guilt and paranoia. He began to hear whispers calling his name when he was alone, the echoes of Sarah's voice haunting him. "Tom, Tom, why did you do it?" The whispers grew louder, and he could no longer distinguish between reality and his tormented mind. One particularly stormy night, as lightning illuminated the dark sky, Tom ventured outside to clear his head. To his horror, he saw a faint figure in the distance, silhouetted against the storm. The figure appeared to be a woman, her hair cascading like a veil, and her eyes glowed with an otherworldly light. Tom's heart raced as he recognized the form, Sarah. He stumbled back, fear gripping him. The vision vanished as quickly as it had appeared, but the message was clear. Sarah's spirit was restless, and she was beginning to make her presence known. The villagers, sensing the growing darkness in the air, became more vigilant. They shared stories of Sarah's life, hoping to honor her memory and perhaps appease her spirit. But deep down, they feared that something more sinister was at play, and that Tom would be the one to face the consequences of their collective grief. Part 4. The Warning. As the days turned into a chilling reminder of Sarah's tragic fate, Tom's mental state continued to deteriorate. He was besieged by guilt, and every corner of the village seemed to echo with her name. The whispers grew louder in his mind, and he could no longer escape the feeling that he was being watched. One dreary afternoon, Tom returned home to find his mirror covered in fog. As he wiped it clean, he was startled to see a message scrawled in what looked like blood: "You cannot escape me." His heart raced, and he stumbled back in shock, panic flooding through him. He looked around, half expecting to see Sarah standing behind him, but he was alone. Tom tried to convince himself that it was a prank, a cruel joke played by the villagers. However, deep down, he knew the truth. The message was clear: Sarah's spirit was seeking vengeance, and there was no hiding from the consequences of his actions. That night, unable to sleep, Tom paced his dimly lit room, haunted by memories of Sarah's laughter and the love they once shared. As he lay in bed, every creak of the house made his heart pound. Then, he heard it, a soft, sorrowful whisper that filled the air. Tom, it was her voice, lamenting and full of pain. Desperate for relief, he sought the counsel of the village elder, a wise woman known for her knowledge of spirits and the supernatural. She listened intently as Tom recounted his experiences, her expression grave. "You have angered her spirit," she warned. "The longer you deny your guilt, the stronger her presence will become. You must confront what you have done, only then can peace be restored." Tom took her words to heart, but the fear of facing Sarah's wrath kept him paralyzed. He knew that he needed to find a way to atone for his sins, but the thought of confronting the ghost he had wronged terrified him. As the village continued to experience strange phenomena, Tom felt the walls closing in, realizing that time was running out. Part 5. The Confrontation. Determined to find a way to quell the torment of his conscience, Tom decided to venture into the woods where he had last seen Sarah's ghost. The villagers warned him against it, telling tales of how the forest was a place where spirits roamed freely, but desperation drove him forward. He needed to confront Sarah's spirit and seek her forgiveness. As twilight descended, casting long shadows between the trees, Tom walked deeper into the woods. The atmosphere grew thicker, and an eerie silence enveloped him. With each step, he could feel the weight of his guilt pressing down on him, an invisible force pulling him towards the clearing where he had first encountered her ghost. Suddenly, a cold breeze swept through the trees, rustling the leaves and sending a shiver down his spine. In that moment, he felt a familiar presence. Emerging from the shadows, Sarah appeared before him, her ethereal form glowing with a haunting light. Her eyes, once filled with love, now burned with sorrow and rage. "Why did you betray me, Tom?" she asked, her voice echoing through the clearing like a mournful wind. The pain in her words pierced his heart, and he fell to his knees, overwhelmed with remorse. "I never meant to hurt you, Sarah," he pleaded, tears streaming down his face. "I was blinded by jealousy and fear. I loved you, and I was a fool. Please, forgive me." Sarah's expression shifted, her anger mingling with sorrow. "You took my life and shattered our dreams. How can I forgive you when I am trapped in this world, bound by the betrayal of the one I loved?" Tom felt a surge of desperation. "I will do anything to make it right. I will confess to the villagers, I will seek justice for what I have done. Please, just give me a chance to atone for my sins." The air around them grew thick with tension, and the forest seemed to hold its breath. Sarah's form flickered, reflecting her inner turmoil. "Your words are empty without action, Tom. You must face the truth of what you have done. Only then can I find peace." As she spoke, the wind picked up, swirling around him, and Tom realized the weight of his task. He had to confront not only Sarah's spirit but also the villagers who had suffered from his actions. He had to bear the burden of his guilt and seek redemption, even at the cost of his own peace. With a heavy heart and newfound determination, Tom nodded. "I will do it. I promise I will make things right." As the last light of day faded, Sarah's spirit began to dissolve into the night, leaving Tom alone in the clearing, filled with a mix of dread and resolve. He knew the path ahead would be difficult, but he was ready to face the truth and the consequences of his actions. Part 6. The Descent into Madness. The following days were a blur for Tom as he prepared to confront the villagers and confess his crimes. However, the weight of his guilt became an unbearable burden. Each time he tried to gather the courage to speak out, the whispers of Sarah's spirit echoed in his mind, intensifying his paranoia. "You cannot escape me," they taunted, weaving through his thoughts like a dark fog. As he wandered the village, Tom noticed the villagers casting wary glances in his direction. They whispered among themselves, their expressions a mix of fear and suspicion. His once close friends now treated him like an outcast, and the isolation deepened his despair. He felt as though he were living in a nightmare, trapped in a world where he was both the monster and the victim. One night, unable to sleep, Tom ventured outside, hoping the cool air would clear his mind. As he walked through the empty streets, he heard the faint sound of laughter. It was a sound he recognized, a joyful, carefree melody that reminded him of happier times with Sarah. The laughter grew louder, echoing in the darkness, and he followed it, drawn like a moth to a flame. His heart raced as he entered the woods again, the laughter morphing into a haunting echo. "Sarah," he called out, desperation lacing his voice. The laughter ceased abruptly, replaced by an eerie silence. Suddenly, he felt a cold hand on his shoulder, sending chills down his spine. Turning around, he was met with Sarah's ghostly figure, her face twisted in a mixture of sorrow and fury. "You seek to forget me, Tom, but I am always with you," she hissed, her voice a chilling whisper. "You cannot escape the truth of what you did." Tom staggered back, overwhelmed. "I'm trying to make things right. I swear I will confess," he pleaded, but the words felt hollow in the face of her wrath. "Confession is not enough," she replied, her voice echoing through the trees. "You must face the villagers and bear the weight of your actions. Only then can I be freed from this torment." In that moment, Tom realized that he was not just battling Sarah's spirit but also the demons of his own mind. The guilt and fear were consuming him, leading him down a path of madness. He could feel his sanity slipping away, each interaction with the villagers becoming a reminder of his failure. Haunted by Sarah's presence, Tom withdrew further into himself, spiraling deeper into despair. He began to see visions of her everywhere, her phantom form lurking in the corners of his vision, her voice whispering warnings and accusations. The line between reality and his tortured mind blurred, and he felt as if he were losing his grip on what was real. Determined to end his suffering, Tom knew he had to confront the villagers before it was too late. The thought of facing them filled him with dread, but he understood that it was the only way to begin to atone for his sins. He steeled himself for the inevitable confrontation, knowing that the truth would finally set him free, or seal his fate forever. Part 7. The Reckoning. With a heavy heart and a mind clouded by despair, Tom made his way to the village square, where a crowd had gathered. The air was thick with tension, and whispers filled the atmosphere as the villagers noticed his approach. Their expressions were a mix of curiosity, fear, and anger, reflecting the pain caused by Sarah's tragic death. Tom stood before them, feeling small and exposed under the watchful gazes of his former friends and neighbors. He took a deep breath, trying to steady his racing heart, and began to speak. "I have something to confess," he said, his voice trembling. "I am responsible for Sarah's death. In my jealousy and rage, I took her life, and I can never forgive myself for what I've done." A murmur of disbelief rippled through the crowd, and Tom could see the shock and horror etched on their faces. He pressed on, feeling the weight of their judgment. "I know that my words may mean nothing to you, but I am here to take responsibility for my actions. I must face the consequences." As he spoke, he caught glimpses of familiar faces, friends who had once stood by him, now filled with pain and betrayal. One villager stepped forward, her eyes glistening with tears. "You took her away from us, Tom. You shattered our community and left us to mourn. How can we ever trust you again?" Tom felt the sting of her words, a bitter reminder of the trust he had destroyed. "I understand your anger," he replied, his voice cracking. "I have no excuse for what I did, and I can never undo the pain I've caused. But I will dedicate my life to making amends, to honoring Sarah's memory. I cannot expect forgiveness, but I must try to make things right." At that moment, the wind picked up, and a chill swept through the square. The villagers looked around in confusion, as if sensing a shift in the atmosphere. Tom felt it too, the presence of Sarah's spirit, lingering just beyond the edge of the crowd. He could almost hear her voice, urging him to stand firm. With newfound resolve, Tom turned to the villagers. "I am ready to accept whatever punishment you deem fit. I will not run from my guilt. I will face it, even if it means losing everything." As he spoke, the ground beneath them trembled slightly, and the villagers exchanged frightened glances. Sarah's spirit began to materialize, her ghostly form emerging from the shadows. The crowd gasped, and silence fell over the square as she stepped forward, her expression a mix of sorrow and determination. "Tom," she said, her voice resonating with an otherworldly echo. "You have faced the truth, and for that, I commend you. But your journey is not yet over. You must help the villagers heal, and in doing so, you may find your own redemption." The villagers stood in stunned silence, witnessing the spirit of the woman they mourned. Tom felt a wave of warmth wash over him, a glimmer of hope amidst the darkness. "I will do anything to help him heal," he promised, his voice steady. "I will dedicate my life to ensuring that Sarah's story is never forgotten." As Sarah's spirit began to fade, a sense of peace enveloped the village square. The villagers, moved by the encounter, began to lower their defenses. Slowly, one by one, they stepped forward to offer their support, recognizing the gravity of Tom's confession and the sincerity of his remorse. In that moment, the community began to heal, united by the shared memory of Sarah and the understanding that redemption was possible, even in the face of unimaginable loss. Part 8. The Path to Redemption. In the days that followed, Tom poured himself into the process of healing, not only for himself but for the entire village. With the memory of Sarah as his guiding light, he organized gatherings to honor her life and legacy, inviting villagers to share their favorite stories and moments they had shared with her. Each story became a thread, weaving the community closer together, reminding them of the joy Sarah had brought into their lives. Tom also sought out ways to support those who had suffered due to his actions. He volunteered to help families in need, rebuild damaged homes, and lent a hand to anyone who required assistance. Each act of kindness became a step towards atonement, a way to transform his guilt into something positive and meaningful. As he worked alongside the villagers, he found that they were beginning to see beyond his past transgressions. Slowly, trust began to rebuild. They watched him struggle with his own demons, witnessed his unwavering dedication to honoring Sarah's memory, and recognized the sincerity of his remorse. The more they worked together, the more they were reminded of the bonds that had once united them. However, Tom knew that true redemption would take time. The villagers had lost more than just Sarah, they had lost their sense of safety and trust. He understood that healing was a journey, not a destination. The weight of his past still lingered, a reminder of the consequences of his actions. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of orange and purple, Tom gathered the villagers around a central bonfire. It was a night to remember Sarah, to celebrate her life, and to acknowledge the journey they had all undertaken together. As they shared stories, laughter, and tears, Tom felt a deep sense of connection with everyone present. In the flickering firelight, he stood and spoke, his voice filled with emotion. "Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this healing process. I know I can never erase the pain I caused, but I promise to honor Sarah's memory every day. Let us remember her not just for the tragedy, but for the joy and love she brought into our lives." As the villagers cheered and shared their own sentiments, Tom felt Sarah's presence beside him, a gentle warmth that reassured him he was on the right path. Though her spirit would never fully leave the village, he could feel her guiding him, encouraging him to continue seeking redemption. In the months that followed, the village transformed. The wounds began to heal, and a sense of unity blossomed. Tom became a symbol of resilience, a testament to the power of acknowledging one's mistakes and striving for forgiveness. The villagers rallied together, working as a cohesive unit to rebuild their community, not just physically, but emotionally. As seasons changed and years passed, Tom never forgot the lessons learned from his past. He continued to honor Sarah's memory, planting a garden in her name where flowers bloomed vibrantly, a reminder of the beauty of life and the importance of love. The garden became a gathering place for the villagers, a space of reflection and celebration, where stories of Sarah were shared, laughter echoed, and bonds were strengthened. And so, in the heart of the village, life flourished once more, not just as a testament to survival, but as a celebration of love, forgiveness, and the enduring spirit of a young woman who had once been taken too soon. Part 9. A New Beginning. Years had passed since that fateful night when Tom had confessed to the villagers. The memory of Sarah, while still tender, had transformed into a beacon of hope for the community. The garden he had planted in her honor flourished, blooming with vibrant flowers that danced in the breeze, drawing villagers together as they shared stories and laughter. Tom had become a respected figure in the village, not just for his past mistakes but for his unwavering dedication to fostering a sense of unity and healing. He had taken on the role of a mentor to the younger generation, teaching them the importance of community, compassion, and the value of taking responsibility for one's actions. One sunny afternoon, as Tom tended to the garden, he noticed a group of children playing nearby. They were laughing, their carefree spirits a sharp contrast to the sorrow that had once engulfed the village. As he watched them, a wave of gratitude washed over him. He understood that the community had not only healed but had grown stronger, united by their shared experiences and the lessons learned from their past. Feeling a sense of purpose, Tom called the children over. "Would you like to help me plant some new flowers?" he asked, gesturing to the empty patches in the garden. Their eyes lit up with excitement, and they eagerly gathered around him, ready to learn. As they dug into the soil, Tom shared the story of Sarah, how she had inspired joy and kindness in everyone she met. He emphasized the importance of remembering those we've lost, not to dwell in sadness but to celebrate their lives and carry their spirit forward. The children listened intently, their faces reflecting a mix of curiosity and understanding. Inspired by Tom's words, the children began to share their own dreams and aspirations. They spoke of wanting to be artists, teachers, and caretakers, each one eager to make a difference in the world. Tom smiled, feeling a deep sense of hope as he recognized the cycle of life continuing, the torch being passed to a new generation. That evening, as the sun set and the sky turned a brilliant shade of gold, the villagers gathered in the garden for their annual Remembrance Festival. Lanterns were lit, casting a warm glow over the flowers, and the air was filled with the sweet scent of blossoms. Music and laughter filled the space as stories of Sarah were shared, not with sorrow, but with joy and love. Tom stood at the center of the gathering, surrounded by friends and family. He reflected on how far they had come together. The village had transformed from a place of grief to one of resilience and hope. It was a testament to the strength of the human spirit and the power of community. As the festivities continued, Tom felt a familiar presence nearby. He glanced at the garden, where the flowers seemed to sway gently, as if in response to an unseen breeze. In that moment, he knew that Sarah's spirit was with them, celebrating their journey of healing and love. With a heart full of gratitude, Tom raised a glass in a toast, his voice steady and clear. To Sarah, and to all those we have loved and lost. May we always remember their light and strive to make the world a better place in their honor. The villagers joined him in the toast, their voices rising in unity. Under the stars, they celebrated not only the memory of Sarah but also the bonds they had forged through their shared experiences. Together, they embraced the future with open hearts, knowing that while the past would always hold a place in their memories, it was the present and the love they shared that would guide them forward. And so, the village thrived, a testament to the enduring power of love, forgiveness, and the belief that even in the darkest times, new beginnings are always possible. Part 10. The Legacy of Love. As the seasons continued to change, the village flourished, becoming a vibrant tapestry of life woven with the threads of hope, resilience, and community. Tom found himself at the heart of many initiatives aimed at preserving the memory of those lost while nurturing the bonds between villages. He organized workshops, storytelling nights, and community service projects that not only honored Sarah but also celebrated the spirit of kindness that she embodied. One day, as Tom walked through the village, he noticed the children from the festival gathering around a large oak tree in the center of the square. They were animatedly discussing a project they had conceived, a mural that would depict the story of their village, including Sarah's legacy. Tom felt a swell of pride as he listened to their excitement, realizing that the lessons of the past were taking root in the minds of the next generation. Encouraging their enthusiasm, Tom offered to help them bring their vision to life. They gathered supplies, paints, brushes, and canvases, and spent weekends transforming the blank wall into a masterpiece. Each child contributed their unique ideas, and the mural began to tell the story of their village, the joy, the sorrow, the healing, and the enduring love for Sarah. As the mural took shape, it became a focal point for the community. Villagers stopped by to watch the children at work, sharing their own memories and stories. This collaborative project not only deepened the connection among the villagers but also fostered an environment where everyone felt valued and heard. The day of the mural's unveiling arrived, and excitement buzzed in the air. The entire village gathered, their faces illuminated with anticipation. Tom stood alongside the children, his heart swelling with pride as they prepared to reveal their creation. With a dramatic flourish, the children pulled away the covering, and gasps of awe rippled through the crowd. The mural depicted a vibrant scene of the village, with Sarah at the center, surrounded by flowers and joyful faces. It beautifully captured the essence of their shared journey, the laughter, the tears, and the unwavering spirit of community. Tears glistened in the eyes of many as they took in the artwork, a powerful reminder of their collective strength and the love that had brought them together. Tom stepped forward, his voice filled with emotion. "This mural is more than just paint on a wall. It represents our journey and the love we carry for those who have left us. Sarah's spirit lives on in each of us, and together, we will continue to spread that love throughout our village." Applause erupted, echoing in the square as the villagers celebrated not just the mural but the bonds that had grown stronger through their shared experiences. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the scene, Tom felt a profound sense of peace. In the years that followed, the mural became a symbol of hope and resilience. It served as a reminder of the past while inspiring future generations to embrace love, compassion, and community. Tom continued to nurture these values, knowing that the legacy of Sarah, and the lessons learned from his own journey, would forever guide the village. As he walked through the streets, now filled with laughter and joy, Tom felt a deep connection to the spirit of the village. He understood that while they had faced darkness, they had emerged stronger, united in their commitment to honor the past and embrace the future. And so, under the watchful gaze of the stars, the village thrived, a testament to the enduring power of love, forgiveness, and the belief that every end is merely a new beginning. Part 11. The Circle of Life. As the village continued to flourish, Tom often reflected on how far they had come since the tragedy that had once cast a shadow over their lives. The mural stood as a vibrant testament to resilience, creativity, and the spirit of community. Each day, villagers would gather around it, sharing stories, laughter, and memories, keeping Sarah's spirit alive in their hearts. With the passing seasons, Tom noticed changes in the village. New families moved in, drawn by the warmth and unity that radiated from the community. The children who had helped create the mural grew, their dreams blossoming alongside the flowers in the garden. They were learning, exploring, and embracing life with an enthusiasm that reminded Tom of his own youth. One day, while tending to the garden, Tom was approached by a young girl named Mia, one of the children who had painted the mural. Her bright eyes sparkled with curiosity as she held a handful of wildflowers. "Mr. Tom, can we plant these flowers in the garden for Sarah?" she asked earnestly. Tom knelt down, a smile spreading across his face. "Of course, Mia. It would be a beautiful way to honor her." Together, they found a sunny spot in the garden, and as they planted the flowers, Mia shared her dreams of becoming a gardener, just like Tom. "You know, Mia," Tom said, "gardening is more than just planting flowers. It's about nurturing life, just like we nurture our friendships and our community. Every seed we plant has the potential to grow into something beautiful." As they finished planting, Tom felt a sense of fulfillment. The garden had become a place of growth, not just for the plants but for the relationships and dreams that blossomed within it. He realized that the lessons he had learned through his journey were now being passed on to the next generation, creating a cycle of love and hope. As the year progressed, the village held its annual Harvest Festival, a celebration of community, gratitude, and the fruits of their labor. Tom was given the honor of leading the festivities, and he felt a deep sense of pride as he watched villagers come together to share their harvests, food, and traditions. During the festival, Tom shared the story of Sarah and the lessons learned from their journey. Each of us carries the seeds of kindness and love within us, he said, looking out at the smiling faces. It is our responsibility to nurture those seeds, to let them grow, and to share their beauty with the world. The villagers cheered, their spirits lifted by the reminder of their strength and unity. The festival continued with laughter, music, and dancing, creating an atmosphere filled with joy and camaraderie. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the village, Tom felt a sense of completion. In the years that followed, the cycle of life continued. Children grew into young adults, embarking on their own journeys, while new families joined the village, each bringing their unique stories and dreams. Tom remained a guiding presence, nurturing the values of compassion, community, and healing. One day, as he walked through the garden, now a lush paradise of colors, he paused to admire the blooms that Mia had planted. They stood tall and vibrant, a reminder of the beauty that could emerge from even the darkest of times. As he knelt to tend to the flowers, a gentle breeze rustled through the leaves, and for a brief moment, he felt the comforting presence of Sarah beside him. It was as if she was smiling down, proud of the legacy they had built together, a legacy of love, healing, and the enduring spirit of community. And so, the village thrived, a living testament to the power of forgiveness, the importance of nurturing relationships, and the belief that even in the face of adversity, life could blossom anew. Part 12. A Promise for Tomorrow. As the years rolled on, the village became a beacon of hope and resilience, known far and wide for its vibrant community spirit and the legacy of love that emanated from its heart. Tom, now older and filled with wisdom, found himself reflecting on the incredible journey that had transformed not only his life but the lives of everyone around him. With each passing season, the garden flourished, becoming a sanctuary for villagers seeking solace and inspiration. It had grown beyond just a tribute to Sarah, it was a living testament to the collective love and healing of the community. Tom often gathered the villagers there, sharing stories and lessons, reminding them that every flower had its own story, just like every person. One day, as Tom tended to the garden, he noticed a familiar figure approaching. It was Mia, now a young woman on the cusp of adulthood, her eyes filled with determination. "Mr. Tom," she said, her voice bright with excitement, "I've been thinking about how we can share our love for the garden and its stories with others. What if we started a community program to teach gardening to everyone, especially children?" Tom's heart swelled with pride. "That's a wonderful idea, Mia. Gardening is not just about growing plants, it's about nurturing our connections to each other and to nature. It teaches patience, responsibility, and the beauty of growth." Together, they began to plan a series of workshops, inviting villagers of all ages to join. They would teach the basics of gardening, sharing the importance of sustainability, and the joy of growing one's own food. The response was overwhelming, villagers were eager to participate, drawn by the promise of community and the opportunity to honor the legacy of Sarah and the values they had cultivated together. As the workshops commenced, laughter and joy filled the garden. Children and adults alike dug in the soil, planted seeds, and watched as their efforts blossomed. Tom took great delight in seeing the younger generation embracing the lessons he had imparted, nurturing the seeds of kindness and community that would continue to grow long after he was gone. One sunny afternoon, as they gathered for a session, Tom stood before the group, his heart full. "This garden is a symbol of our journey together," he said. "Each flower, each vegetable, represents our shared love, our struggles, and our triumphs. By teaching others, we're ensuring that this legacy continues, that new seeds are planted for future generations." As the villagers listened, mesmerized by his words, Tom felt a renewed sense of purpose. He understood that while his time on Earth was finite, the impact of their collective efforts would resonate for years to come. The stories of love, forgiveness, and community would be passed down, just like the flowers in the garden. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the village, Tom felt a profound connection to everything around him. He realized that life was a circle, a continuous journey where every ending led to a new beginning. The lessons learned from pain and loss had created a foundation for growth and joy. In the years that followed, the community program flourished, drawing people from neighboring villages and spreading the message of love and resilience far and wide. Tom watched with satisfaction as Mia and the younger villagers took the lead, nurturing the next generation in ways he had once nurtured them. On a particularly beautiful day, Tom stood in the garden, surrounded by vibrant blooms and the laughter of children, and he felt Sarah's presence beside him once more. It was a gentle reminder that love transcends time, and that the legacy they had built together would continue to thrive. As the village celebrated its annual festival, Tom raised a glass, his voice steady and clear. To love, to growth, and to the promise of tomorrow. May we always remember that every seed we plant carries the potential for beauty, and every act of kindness has the power to change lives. The villagers cheered, their hearts united in the shared belief that together, they could overcome anything. And so, the village continued to thrive, a testament to the enduring power of love, the strength of community, and the belief that every ending is merely the beginning of something beautiful.